Once upon a time, in a small village in Africa, there lived a little girl named Ojeke. Ojeke was just 8 years old and had a kind heart. She loved to sing and play with the other children in the village. Her smile was as bright as the sun, and everyone in the village loved her. But Ojeke was not very happy because she had a stepmother who was very wicked. Her stepmother's name was Rose. Rose was a tall woman with sharp eyes that always seemed angry. She was married to Ojeke's father, who was a kind man, but he often traveled far away to work, leaving Ojeke alone with Rose. Rose had her own 2 children, but they were not as sweet as Ojeke. They would always tease Ojeke and take her toys away. And whenever Ojeke tried to tell Rose about it, Rose would scold her instead of helping her. Rose made Ojeke do all the hard work in the house. She made her sweep the floors, fetch water from the stream, and even wash all the clothes. Ojeke was so small and the work was so hard that she often cried, but Rose did not care. She would say, "You are a lazy girl. You must work harder." Ojeke missed her mother very much, but her mother had gone to heaven when Ojeke was just a baby. One day, Rose decided that Ojeke would no longer go to school. "Why should I waste money on you when I have my own children to take care of?" Rose said angrily. Ojeke cried and begged to go to school, but Rose refused. "You will stay home and do all the work," she shouted. Ojeke's heart broke, but she knew she had no choice. She wanted to learn, to read, and to write, but Rose didn't care. From that day on, Ojeke stayed at home while the other children went to school. She would watch them from afar, wishing she could join them. But every morning, she would get up early, do all the chores, and then sit by herself, feeling sad and lonely. Sometimes, the other children would ask her to come and play, but Rose would always find more work for her to do. "You have no time to play," Rose would snap. Ojeke's life was very hard, and she became thinner and weaker each day. She would often go to bed hungry because Rose gave her very little food. Rose's own children ate big bowls of rice and meat, but Ojeke only got a small plate of dry bread. "You don't deserve more," Rose would say, laughing as she watched Ojeke eat. Despite all this, Ojeke never lost her kind heart. She would often help the old women in the village, carrying their bags or fetching water for them. The old women loved her and would sometimes give her fruits or nuts to eat. "You are a good girl, Ojeke," they would say. "Don't worry, things will get better one day." One day, while Ojeke was fetching water from the stream, she met a wise old man. He had a long white beard and kind eyes. The old man could see that Ojeke was sad, and he asked her why. Ojeke told him about her wicked stepmother, Rose, and how she treated her badly. The old man listened carefully and then said, "My dear child, you must be strong and patient. Good things come to those who are kind and true. One day, you will be free from all this sorrow." Ojeke nodded, but she was still sad. "I miss my mother," she said softly. The old man smiled and said, "Your mother is watching over you from heaven. She loves you very much and wants you to be brave." Ojeke felt a little better after talking to the old man. She thanked him and went back home with the water. But when she got home, Rose was waiting for her with an angry look on her face. "Why are you so late?" Rose shouted. "You have been wasting time, haven't you?" Ojeke tried to explain, but Rose wouldn't listen. She grabbed a stick and hit Ojeke on the back. "This will teach you to obey me," Rose yelled. Ojeke cried out in pain, but Rose didn't stop until Ojeke was covered in bruises. That night, Ojeke lay in bed, crying silently. She missed her mother so much, and she wished her father would come home and take her away from Rose. But her father was far away, and Ojeke didn't know when he would return. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Ojeke continued to work hard and suffer under Rose's cruelty. but she never gave up hope. She remembered the wise old man's words and tried to be strong and patient. One evening, as Ojeke was finishing her chores, she heard a knock on the door. She opened it and was surprised to see her father standing there. He had finally come home. "Ojeke, my dear," her father exclaimed, hugging her tightly. Ojeke burst into tears, telling her father everything that had happened while he was away. She told him about how Rose had stopped her from going to school, made her do all the work, and gave her very little food. Ojeke's father was shocked and angry. He could not believe that Rose had treated his daughter so badly. He went straight to Rose and confronted her. "How could you do this to my daughter?" he demanded. Rose tried to lie, but Ojeke's father had already made up his mind. "I will not let you hurt my daughter any longer," he said firmly. That night, Ojeke's father packed their things and took Ojeke away from Rose's house. They went to live in a new house in another part of the village. Ojeke was so happy to be free from Rose. She could finally go back to school, play with her friends, and eat good food. But even though Ojeke was happy, she never forgot the pain she had suffered. She learned that some people in the world are not kind, but she also learned that there are others who will help you when you are in need. Ojeke knew that she had to be strong and kind, no matter what. As for Rose, she was left alone in her house, with only her 2 children. The villagers heard about what she had done to Ojeke, and they stopped talking to her. Rose became lonely and sad, and she realized too late that being cruel to Ojeke had brought her nothing but sorrow. The moral of the story is that kindness and patience will always win in the end. No matter how hard things get, it's important to stay strong and true to yourself. And remember, if you treat others badly, it will only bring sadness to your own heart.